Hear that? I'm going to get us recording. My levels look good over here with you from a sound standpoint. And I tell you, if anything, as it relates to COVID-19 and the pandemic, these types of interviews have been so much easier. We've been able to do a lot of these that we normally would not do because of just the convenience of it. So I'm thankful that you took the time to do this today. So thank you, sir.
Well, that's beautiful. It's symbolic for me. Like in the piece that I got to do, the episodes with the SEAL team. For me, somebody who served for a long period of time, a young person who grows up pretty much in service, to come home. I remember as a little boy, post Second World War, vets coming to our house after service in the Korean War, and couples, husband and wives coming together. There was this energy for recovery. Let's put it that way. The word recovery, or going to visit. People coming together. I see more people with masks and without them, some, but with masks, going into stores to spend money. The profits of some of these grocery stores is going through the roof. It's something about just getting out of the house, like these marches.
Right.
From a little bit of a distance, I watched it. I saw I was involved with a couple occupied efforts in different cities. Those were more prepared. You see pictures even with some demonstrations recently with the big kid walking over to a cop with his mouth going off, and a mother coming over behind him and grabbing him by the neck and pulling him back in line. We need to come together more. This is, for me, it's like coming to dinner at your house.
Yeah.
And hello, my feelings are strong for the opening scene in our little thing we did about this tremendous amount of activity of our country in Iraq, in Iran, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, lots of other places in the world. Our world, our country, our towns are completely going through changes, finance and romance, whatever you want to just isolate the reasons. It's a lot of human progress with challenges right now.
Right.
This country has been a leader for a while. We're younger as what our country is going to become more of in the future. And a lot of it has to do with things you don't get to see. It's in the TV, it's in the news. The fact that and many TV shows, many episodic television, or even my involvement now with more of the podcasts, with the people just putting things together.
Right.
A lot of different political views, but that's not why they're coming together. It's, in addition to that, is life challenges.
Right.
Personalities, yeah, but beyond that, what can we do about that poor person whose place was torn down in the demonstration?
Right.
What? Well, Mr. Trump came to visit us while we were in service. President Trump came over there and he spoke to us. So I feel this is really unfortunate and unfair to those people. So we're going to get together and go over there and help rebuild their house. I'll go with you.
Wow.
I'll go with you.
Yeah.
Well, you better come with us, because otherwise you're never coming back here. We'll never talk. But the attitude of, pull our socks up. Come on, let's get a little bit connected. And we got a lot of really strong feelings going on with different networks and this and that. But even with this event, this Emmys awards thing, it's going beyond that. It's all these different areas of what we can get from TV today is immense. It's just incredible programs, incredible diversity.
Right.
And that's this America.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world wants what we have. It looks like everybody can get ahead here.
Yeah.
You know, people dying, walking across deserts for years to get here.
Right. Right. Right.
They die trying to get here. And I've been close to that as an actor, being able to work in a lot of places. Sometimes I get paid. It's just that gift of experience. And boy, I need it. I mean, I'm a closed off kind of selfish guy. I was very shy as a kid, very insecure. You know, I was very hypocritical then. I'm still hypocritical now. But the idea of me zipping it, which I'm advised by a lot of my close people, and just listening, you
Yeah.
know, and a lot of times my lady people, my family members, John, we don't care what you think. We don't want your help. We just want you to listen.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Well, if you were just joining us, John.
My part in those things, maybe I'll get some good advice, or just being there is enough, you know.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I love sometimes just looking at some of these things that I've been able to be a part of with those great actors. A.J. Buckley is my son. I got kids. I got grown-up kids older
Yeah.
than him. I got a grandson his age who's doing incredible. Thank God. He's a mixed race African American, which I don't want to make a big deal about that, but race means a lot.
Yeah.
Cultural mix and other stuff in our country is immense. It's immense. It's amazing. Uh, Gosh, you know, and as you get older, you feel like I feel like I missed my chance to be more involved. Uh, Zolan Kano Youngs is a top writer for the New York Times at 26. He's been through other great experiences. He's just the most uplifting, happy. Well, he's uplifting and aggressive in a lot of ways. He's a great basketball player, and he's shorter than me. Maybe you're taller than me now. But the idea that he's involved with the community always, as a young person, as a writer, like his father, is my son, but he's writing with the two sides of our border situation. He gets flown over here to talk to our Coast Guard, to meet with the ICE people, then to meet with people in the communities that are stuck. I mean, you know, a lot of these people watching the border have families. They have kids too. And they got to sit there at the El Paso River and watch somebody holding a gun to a woman with a baby who gets in that river, and the baby, she can't swim, and the baby gets swept away. And they can't do enough. They got a boat maybe, but they got to watch crossing the border. They got to watch this. They can't handle everything. So it's a little weird, you know, and a lot of times certain personalities will come out of situations like that. But I've watched surgeons in surgery, and there's two extremes sometimes in emotions. Here, take this guy's circumcision up to the boss upstairs and put it through two pieces of bread and tell him this is what I think about his cutbacks. Sense of humor.
Yeah.
You know, cutbacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is life and death.
Right.
But
Right.
the idea that, you know, hey, you know, this is dirty. Crash. Throw it on the floor. You clean every single one of them again. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what's going on? It touches us.
Yeah.
But you know, we have this opportunity. You know,
Yeah.
this
Absolutely.
television series. You can go to Afghanistan and Pakistan with people, men and women, who have served maybe over 10 years, and they're not 30 yet.
Right. Right.
And then they come home.
Yeah.
What are they? Who? Where is there any kind of a commitment they can get into equal to that?
Yeah.
It's very frustrating. I grew up with that as a kid. I watched it. I watched the nightmares sometimes at night. My dad was 6'8". I'm proud of that. He brought his dad to live with us, who went to the Bowery to ignore the fact that as a single dad, all of his kids went in the military. My aunts, uncles, my dad, to go in the Second World War. Good luck. Take the house when you come back. Don't look for me. He went to the Bowery to drink. My dad brought him to live with us, 2 beers a day, and he was humble about it. He was
Yeah.
in France, at, I think, Verdun, where he watched 1,000 guys, Americans, get gassed and die.
Yeah.
He was gassed. And my mom told me about it later on when I was a little older. Grandpa, how did you get through that? You were gassed too. He says, well, I just started smoking and drinking.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So they just, there's a lot of things that we just be. And it evolves. I evolved as a father. I wasn't really up to getting all angry again and judgmental. and, you know, and he was changed. He didn't want to go. He went there real quick. You want
Yeah.
to go there? Here, take that.
Yeah.
And she was so calm and cool. She was manipulative. She brought us together and was considerate to the situation. And he saw this life that he wanted. What did he identify with? The car that he left, the cool car. But it was more than that. It was everything connected to the life there. And
Yeah.
he didn't know where to go. And he eventually, I realized we love each other. He wants to come back, but he's not done yet. He's got a team, a new family.
Yeah.
He's committed. And for whatever experience I have had as his father, it's not over yet.
Yeah.
He's got to fulfill that commitment. Those are the men that built the character who he is now. The men that he's working with, and the women who sacrificed, and the great lead on that show, David Boreanaz. He plays Jason Hayes. I know him better by his character name. What an incredible character he's created.
Yeah.
A leader who's, I don't want to suggest it, but he's semi-suicidal.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
watched men come and go, and he is leading them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not prepared. This is what I saw with my father. He lost his squad as a 6'8" gunner in the Corps, in the Marine Corps in Guadalcanal. Toughest kid on the block, hands, and as a kid, his hands were this big.
Yeah.
He was huge. I was tiny. I want to be like that. I took more after my mother. I was
Yeah.
this gentle giant.
Yeah.
He would listen, nod his head. I'd hear him sometimes have nightmares. With a breath, he'd take full posture. Hey, come with me. We're going to visit some friends of mine. And he would make a point of visiting men who had served in their family. Just getting to know people quietly. How we finally got a house, they sit together in a corner. What are they talking about? Maybe I was 4 or 5 years old. We had a tiny little TV. Oh, the president is on, Eisenhower. Everybody get together and listen. In some famous moments, I watched the reaction to those speeches. Police action.
Yeah.
What the heck is that about? What is this police action? And the president, was making amends about that somehow. I don't remember the consequence in time. But beware the Pentagon military industrial complex. I was 5 years old. The reaction to that statement. Oh my God! Well, what does that mean? They were involved. Republicans, all of them. President, yes. Eisenhower, yes. Civil rights. Maybe it wasn't evident, but in my little house, it was civil rights. It was going with my dad because he loved basketball. He was 6'8". If he couldn't get a job, he'd go visit, some friends outside of our living there. He knew African American communities. He shot baskets as a kid. He grew up with some of the men that he served with, who also were from the South and racist. But he had nightmares about inability to save them. They were a family, whether they were of color or white or white right wing or whatever. They were there for one purpose. if this guy dies, I die. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that whole idea. And the service now you see in this show, the women, ranking officers. And I go to meetings with some of these folks, and there's men and women over service for a long time. These women, ranking officers, who are really taking care of a lot of very tough guys. And it's, you know, this whole situation of this TV show it means a lot. You know, I talk too much.
No, not at all. Well, if you are just joining us for Meet Me in the Movies, we are very honored to have John Savage as our guest. And John Savage has been involved in over 4 decades of film and TV. And when I look at the legendary films that you have been a part of, it really is quite amazing. And one of the things that
I am one lucky guy, period.
well, one of the things that I have noticed is that when I look at that body of work, consistency stands out to me, that you have kept on working. You know, you go back to the films like The Deer Hunter and The Onion Field, Godfather Part 3, Salvador, Inside Moves, Hair, Malcolm X, which you worked on with Spike Lee. There have been so many of those. And what is it about this consistency of you just keeping busy that has kept you going? And what is it that draws you to do this so much and so well?
Yeah, I like I said, I may have a little bit more of a fantasy world. I talk a lot too much sometimes, and being directly involved in real life is got challenges for everybody. And for
Right.
me, I noticed I would rather be reading a book. I
Mm-hmm.
started out that way as a kid, and my imagination can get out of bounds. Emotional reactions and things. Oh, I got to step back a little bit once in a while, and still have that.
Yeah.
And yet, that this being able to work with people to tell stories
Yeah.
is such a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I've done a lot of films that people would go, "Whoa, what's that about? What is this?" And yet, by the same time, by the same token, you know, taking that moment of time to step out of reality, it's entertainment.
Right.
It's relief. It's we can identify with that violence for a moment. And yeah, get that guy, get that guy. Wow, that guy's just this and that. She's just doing this and this and that. Whew. But we're not doing it with real people.
Right.
Now the trick with that is to take that time where we're like when you're spending time with people that you get a little nervous. I heard a great comment on that show the other night. Uh, it's great actors. Blacklist. Blacklist.
Blacklist. The
Yeah,
Blacklist. Yes.
great actors. And she's trying to identify with her father, who she hates what he is because she never knew, and the blah blah blah. And yet she's confused about this relationship, and so is he, and blah. And she says, people have so much hate, so much violence, so much resentment, so much jealousy. And you know something? It sounds just like a family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's we can't get rid of that love. I don't know how to change that person. Stop trying.
Right.
Trying. You know, a lot
Change
of times
yourself. Change yourself.
change yourself a little bit, and like even in our world today, we need to keep a distance. They've been wearing masks for 30 years in Japan, and they have healthier lungs than we do. You know, we don't have a climate change. Okay, we'll all accept that. No, we have major pollution in our world today. All right, how about that? Our food, our water, our air, and other stuff like that is important. And I see these wonderful people with huge farms, a great agricultural industry, which it's become. They've lost all their cattle. They've lost all of their land. The flood has taken everything. It'll never be the same again. Thousands of acres or fire. The trees are being burned, they're being cut, they're being taken down. The biggest suggestion for cleaning in an air, don't worry about those air filters. Put a leafy plant in every room. You will clean your air. And we are, maybe we're dwelling too much on these simple, silly little things. Okay, we are. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Shake hand. My dad had these huge hands, and that hand would be the first thing that came out before he even said hello. He was a quiet guy. And he was a little frightening, but he was quiet. He was calm.
Yeah.
And he'd pull himself up to interfere. He grew up with the African American community, closer to them, because he shot baskets and they were not rich. And he made that a point after the military. And my mom too, going to other communities and meeting people within Levittown, where the joke was leave it town. Just these little boxes everywhere.
Yeah.
Today, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
After 50 years, whatever it is, the trees are grown, and houses are fixed, and gardens are beautiful. In Detroit, I've watched Detroit go through changes because, like right next to Packard, like the neighborhoods start that in the city or neighborhoods that are close to the city, and a lot of them are all different communities of cultural Chinese, Irish, Portuguese, African American, this one, that one, and they're living right next door to each other.
Right.
And some of those houses were burned down 50 years ago. Now, there's gardens in those lots.
Yeah.
You can buy them for $1. It's a Republican mostly government, I think, but you can invest in those buildings as a community. You can, with a bunch of people, you can buy a floor to renovate an old, beautiful architecture. It's so there's a little bit more going on with, you can't just get tax breaks for running in there, but maybe you can now. But when I worked there over the years, they took away the tax breaks for making movies. But a lot of the young people can do it if they are doing a certain budget, and they can use the old buildings. The Packard plant is empty rooms. Homeless veterans, other people can be given help to live in those areas. You can film in these. It looks like the Colosseum in Rome.
Yeah.
It's American. And they're preserving those things to some degree, and all kinds of people are involved.
Yeah.
So that's America.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's America. I love that one Italian word.
Well, one of the things you said earlier that I think really speaks volumes, and when I say it speaks volumes, sometimes we've forgotten how to actively listen. We've forgotten how to have dialogue. We're so busy trying to get out what we have to say that we refuse to sometimes listen to what others are saying. And sometimes when that happens, we miss out. We really miss out on the world around us. We miss out on being able to engage with people who are different than we are, whether they look different or act different or vote different, or go to a different type of church or whatever. When we don't take the chance to dialogue, then we miss out on something. We miss out on this world around us.
Yeah. And Mandela said something like to the effect that sports could bring peace to the world, among other things. And when I've been on courts with guys, it scares the heck out of me. I'm no big sports star. I'm not a good athlete, but I love sports. I shoot lousy baskets. I'm really no good on a golf course. And a lot of times I'm better off by myself, doing a little athletic activity. But boy, when those big guys get serious on the court, elbows start flying. My dad used to say, "You see this nose? It makes an S." Into the basket, and those elbows come down. And a few words. You see it happen on the courts sometimes. Men standing up to each other. I've seen it in groups of recovery.
Yeah.
We're adults, grown people, men and women, mostly men, but I've seen it with women too. They've been in these groups of support for psychological reasons or recovery from addictions or whatever, and they're good. They're helpful. I try to. For me personally, I need it, and
Yeah.
not everybody, maybe. But these people have been doing it for years. And in the middle of somebody who's been going to these meetings to help other people for 30 years will stand up and challenge another guy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, are they going to fight? Yeah, they're fighting. They're going to fight. They're using bad language. You can't do that. You have to go outside. All right, take a walk. Half hour later, they're coming in laughing and holding each other.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we have to let people sometimes go through this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, people are in fear right now more than usual, and they're saying it
Mm-hmm.
by pointing fingers, pointing fingers. You know, if they put graffiti on that Catholic church, they should go to jail. New York is letting all these criminals go. Yeah, but the leader of the city is given a little bit of space. Well, we're going to make cutbacks in the police. How are we going to handle it? I agree. It's going to be difficult. But a lot of that money is going to areas to prevent terrorist attack, militias, equipment that's real military oriented. And it's to create a little more step of safety for those people putting themselves in dangerous positions, but it's a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
When people are having a peaceful protest, all right, there was maybe some violence before. Now bring out the troops. Well, the rest of the people, oh, those guys that were violent took off. You got a bunch of young girls and boys and their children and everything else standing there, and you're going after them with billy clubs. That doesn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are able to control by just taking that peaceful steps forward and moving people back. But behind them, they've got canisters of gas coming in and other stuff, and people slamming people and moving them while they're trying to get up on the ground, kicking them down the street. That's what America has to start dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have trained people to deal with mental health now. Don't cut that out.
Right.
We have organized efforts between men and women and volunteers too, in uniform, to surround someone who's designated a mental illness, on medication or off medication. Where is he at or she at right now? And we have a lot of them.
Yeah.
We have a lot of addicted issues, addiction. We don't have enough development in a lot of areas that have been struggling for years to get going, whether it's changing our foods, organic. They're growing in New York now. Restaurants are growing on the roofs,
Yeah.
great organic gardens and other stuff. Why? Because it's good for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's like your mother said, eat it. Well, it's good for you. You know, these steps towards progress. We have very powerful financial interests. You know, special interest groups, and they're not the devil. You know, it's not Satan. It's people trying to make a living, just like the rest of us, except it gets to be uncontrolled, out of control power, where people are using it almost as much as a country to defeat any other effort to grow or compete. And, you know, internationally, we do have, you know, political positions, but the reasons that some countries are becoming more developed is through military industrial complex. What does that mean? Means big money. You know, we've left some of our, I mean, that was a deer hunter, leaving some of our industries here to make the metal cheaper, steel cheaper, to make, to take advantage of the less financially interested. I mean, a buck, you know, a day work.
Yeah.
Some countries was gold.
Yeah.
We have to balance that understanding with our own country, because you can't have these people growing and living on the streets without some kind of connection to our lives.
Yeah.
They are connected. I mean, I heard Dr. Drew or whatever on the radio is talking about a plague a couple years ago, only 2-3 years ago. Hello, welcome to the real world. And this is going to continue with our world. And we don't have to build walls. We need to work together.
Yeah.
You know, safety is important. Masks are important. respect for each other,
Right.
bowing, nodding, saying hello,
Yes.
without, you know, these young people who are trying to express their voice now put their rights even above their life right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like young men I see going into the military. I've flown with them, with other people, and we talk about addictions, obsessive behavior when you get a day off. And we have trouble with Americans going in and destroying bars in different cities of nice towns. But the people respect them as military, but in other countries too, yeah, it gets a little difficult when people are using too much, drinking beyond the limit. And
Right.
it's a big deal. It's a big
Yeah.
problem. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, I think moderation is key for so many things. And when you go beyond that, when you abuse it, whether it's intentional or unintentional, and I've had family members who have suffered from alcohol abuse, alcoholics. I've had some who have had issues that they've had to deal with in their lives that have caused them to go down a bad path. And I've seen it as well. And uh, they they want someone to be able to listen to them and listen to what they have going on in their lives. And it's not easy. I mean, our lives. Uh,
it when it goes, it's such an important point. But when it goes beyond that point, it's like even me, I never talked. But I started getting recognized and didn't know what to do about it because I could sing and I loved music. I wasn't thinking about performing. I was scared, but the music.
mm,
And the next, all right, so because people are talking to me, how do I respond?
right.
How do I behave? I have characters that I imagine and I play, but who am I? And now addiction, drugs, and other stuff, it creates a personality in a person, or they create a person in order to be a part out of fear of a group of people that are inviting them to be part of their family or community when no parents are home. There's
Mm,
people are using there maybe, or there's no money, and people are hungry and angry, and so they get involved with these folks to give them this attitude. Let's break into that pharmacy. They got painkillers in there.
mm,
Yeah, we can sell that stuff. Well, most of the time, people trying to get into the drug business die from drugs.
mhm.
They don't make the money. It's the people getting them to buy the stuff to sell it. They're making money and they don't use.
Yeah.
And pharmaceutical companies, we got a little problem there somewhere. What's going on? How many people need more excessive, strong painkillers, drugs, other stuff? I think about what your mom said. Eat this, it's good for you in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about suffering, you talk about pain, you talk about going through difficult times. And I look at some of the roles, and we go back and look at
This show, this simple thing of the way they captured great writers, these men and women working together in another country, we recognize them. I know those characters. I mean, David, the lead actor, he did some incredible work in his acceptance of I am losing my mind. I'm losing my men. I've been here for over 10 years. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. That's a generalization. But he got that character. And I saw it in men still to today and women. I don't know who I am. My heart is broken and I'm angry about it. I don't know how to deal with this, and I'm taking it out on the wrong people. We put a story together that's like reading to a child about animals, learning differences and talking to each other and understanding each other better. A lot better than maybe young people like myself did. This is so important. I feel this is an important show where we've captured characters for now.
right.
I did another Vietnam based film the last full measure from
Yeah.
President Lincoln's speech from a hymn, the last full measure of devotion.
Yes.
But it took even further that coming home, which we had in the Deer Hunter, people are sitting at a table together and giving themselves up to the spirit of a nation they love and God
Yes.
or faith. This was sitting together and looking at each other and knowing we're not the same anymore.
Right.
We're missing people.
Yeah.
He's missing legs. This steps of progress around us. We need this show. We need to be showing the interaction of men having to do duty, the worst form of the military effort.
Right.
Is in there. It's not in the intelligence, violent things go on there. It's very interesting. But go to look at one of those camps over there with the sand soldiers, the grunts, the Marines and Army. They're on tents on the outside. Then they got a wall. You can't go through that wall.
Yeah.
You have to have admittance. Then they have a little area in there, and then another wall. And inside that other wall, I got CIA, foreign visitors, international whatever coming together to have their dinners in a restaurant with bar or over on the side. Even the Muslims are involved with. Never mind, we don't talk about that stuff. But great symbols of international activity, finance, politics, and everything going on because of a bunch of guys and women that are signed their life for their country.
Yeah.
And this, it's got its ups and downs, but I love the story this show brings. Yeah.
Well,
Sorry.
No. You have found a way to connect with characters and with stories, so many of them that have military related themes. I even think about the Star Trek episode that you dealt with. There was military related themes there as well, and ethics and decisions that are made for moving forward.
A commanding officer trying to save the lives of his crew, of the people that he's responsible for. And what does he have to do it? He doesn't even realize the energy source he manages to find while they're under threat from an enemy is a life.
Right.
A peaceful life.
Yes.
A non-threatening life. So rather than he gets his crew to be forgiven by the Universal Board of Authority, and
right,
he sacrifices himself, but his ship to not have it be taken, but by the enemy actually.
Yeah,
that was forget it. That was such a great crew of a cast and story. Evolved from the original Star Trek with a woman captain.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
The other ship, the American ship, and great actress.
Yeah. And I look at and I think about how you're drawn to these type of roles that relate to military, whether it's sci-fi or whether it's actual happening now. Does that go back to
yes,
your childhood?
I was the son of men who served, and of women who dealt with the changes. They were willing and excited to change. There were great smoking and drinking parties, and then every once in a while, that woman committed suicide.
Wow.
Or that man died from overuse. These are all respectable adults, great people. But they've been through some stuff. They were getting successful slowly. Our country was not really rich after the Second World War. People, it's like, wait a minute. No, we accomplished a lot. Where did it go? Into certain industries. And they grew. And that money in our government was then distributed to help the growth of the economy within small areas. My dad got a car for about $400, brand new Studebaker. Oh, I thought that was so cool. Now I was about 4 years old. I wanted to collect cars after that. It was incredible. And later on, I found out it was $400 for that car. The house
Yeah.
5,000
Yeah.
maybe at the most.
Yeah.
And because of the GI Bill.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
eventually he got a job. He tried to be a probation officer. Too frustrating maybe for his temperament at that time because he didn't want anger. He really fought that.
Mm-hmm.
Breathing, talking to others with authority. He challenged a lot.
Yeah.
But in his position of 6'8", when he stood up tall and he spoke kindly, he listened.
Yeah.
And then the hand would come up. And when it came up in front of me sometimes, whoops, it always came down on my shoulder slowly.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
no fight.
Yeah.
And he would interrupt dialogue once of just a memory of a guy who looked like an adult, but he was a kid, 13, 14. And I've seen that happen in my life. I go away for a while, I come home, and even my kids, well, how did you get so tall? You know? But two police officers standing there and a boy standing there, and my father talking to him. And he says, okay, get in the back, John. And he has the boy sit next to him in the front. It's a kid, 13, 14 years old, African American. Where do we go? To the basketball court. You know, I was jealous. I can't even dribble. Maybe I could. I want that ball too. Give me the ball. Boom, I can't reach the basket. But he was involving me, talking to me. Hey, watch this. Hey, now this is called a hook or whatever. This is this. When you grow up, you'll probably be playing. You won't be playing like a center like me and then whatever his name is here, because you'll be doing a good part like maybe a forward. He talked to me. He brought me into it, but not a lot of dialogue. Mostly like, watch this. Watch what he does. Watch what I do here. 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those images as a little kid, you remember. That's when
Yeah.
your life is beginning.
Right. Right.
And reading. I learned to read real young. I
Yeah.
had, yeah.
My grandfather was a World War II veteran and Battle of the Bulge. He was on the shores of
My
Normandy.
uncle was there, commanding
Yeah.
officer, Lachlan McLaughlin Field.
It's
Yeah.
those stories, and my grandfather would not talk about those stories until the 50th anniversary of D-Day, and he was diagnosed with cancer around that time. And he and I sat down and I did a documentary on his life and my grandmother's life, and I was really blown away by
I don't
their.
know the name of it, the
Uh,
documentary. Sorry
no,
for interrupting.
no worries. It's actually just a personal documentary on their lives, but it was. I got a chance to really get a glimpse into the impact that war has on family, not just the soldier, but on family. And that's the one thing that I think that anyone needs to realize, that everybody is impacted by what happens for the soldiers, for the frontline soldiers, especially how that impacts everyone that's connected to them. And I just sat in awe of what my grandfather went through and what my grandmother went through working here back home, not just for the family, but also she was working for the war effort. And I just had the highest respect for those who put on the uniforms to serve us and to protect us. And I just really appreciate what you've shared about your story and how that's kind of impacted your life and continues to impact your life. You're involved in the Wounded Warriors Project, and you continue to be involved in other efforts relating to the servicemen and women. And on this show about the Navy SEALs, you've really been able to continue to take that forward. So thank you for doing that.
There are great efforts going on by men, even back to the Second World War, guys in their 90s, who are involved with recovery of other people, men and women, in up to now. And there's a great deal of effort by the Veterans Administration, and there's incredible support there. But beyond that, there are groups like one I was introduced to by one of my friends who was part of our getting our movies, the last Full Measure done. Travis is involved with SAW, Save a Warrior. Gary Sinise, of course, has been involved with musicians, actors, teachers, people to support this consciousness for wounded warriors. And it's really helping men and women take new steps, get connected with others that have similarities in their experience, and even putting together psychological groups outside of the VA. And some people need some professional help. And after that, to be with people who understand their diagnosis and accepting that.
Mm-hmm.
My son is, I don't want to get too far personal stuff, but he's involved in a mental health program for recovery himself. And it's tough. He's very smart.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also got the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not a kid anymore. But he's devoted and committed.
Yeah.
To like my dad, that hand.
Yeah.
I know where we can get something to eat. I know where you can do that. Yes, I understand. Well, and he doesn't diagnose people, but he knows. Because he goes to the meetings, he goes to, whether it's schizoaffective or bipolar or this or that. And there's mental, there's all different forms of disorders. I see some of these young children that are angels, and they don't have the full brain capacity as normal kids.
Mm.
And yet gems come out of their mouths sometimes.
Yeah.
And this is, this sometimes I have to surrender to this. I get excited and but am I just being entertained, or I am actually involved?
Yeah.
With it?
Yeah.
So I got to be careful, like as an actor. Listen.
Right. Right.
Right.
Well, the roles that
I'm looking at
you
this picture with AJ and Hannah right now, but I'll listen to you too.
Yeah, the roles that you've been involved in, the characters that you have been able to portray, they speak volumes in so many different ways with the type of characters they are, but the dialogue they say and the performances that they present and the themes that stretch through those character arcs. Of the characters that you have been involved in over the years, the hundreds of them, are there certain ones that you feel have spoken to you both personally and those that you feel have been able to speak to others in ways that maybe you didn't think of?
I'm not sure which one. I don't know. I'm sure that some of the more simpler roles. I mean, I talk like really seriously a lot because it makes me think I'm smarter. But that can be a problem. I love the fact that I've found humor in some roles
Yeah.
without trying.
Okay.
People laugh at me
Yeah.
as a character.
Yeah.
That I found when I'm working with other actors, I find my place with these serious, dangerous mobster. Like I was on a TV show. What's his name? Oh gosh, great actor. Billy Bob Thornton.
Yes, Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah.
Actor I'm working with, great actor, tough guy, and we're hitmen. We're hitmen. But meanwhile, the guy we're supposed to be taking out, I'm thinking maybe I can get something from this guy before we have to kill him. You know what I mean? He's got some business going on. It could be interesting, in life.
Yeah.
Those kind of things go on all the time. So it's just a wonderful gift of good writers like
Yes.
Cinemascene, of being able to go and live and see the difficult life, but the humor, and
Right.
those guys hanging together.
Yeah.
Dealing with serious issues in Pakistan, people that are different than them, that they lose their lives trying to help two different cultures, two different societies, and yet they're trying to work together. And you could die doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
getting seriously injured. So,
Yeah.
not to make a joke about it, God bless our military and service and men and women
Yeah.
and journalists,
Yes. Yes.
looking for the truth. That's my
Yes.
opinion of journalists and
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And just one final question, because I know you've got to go. But do
I
you?
can talk.
Okay. Well, if you've got time, we'll keep talking. So, do you find yourself drawn to different types of roles now compared to going back to the deer hunter days, or is it still based on story and what really intrigues you about character?
Well, it's a mix. Who wants me?
Okay.
Sometimes I've turned down roles. You know, I they some people see. I mean, I work a lot overseas, or I've worked more and more over the years with great production companies. I'm hoping I made contacts in all over the world, South Africa for years, mostly involved with people doing what they could for years to document and archive and show the changes and the efforts and what that country's like. And then what's happening now, all of that effort to improve our lives and our relationship together, where did that storm come from that totally wiped our city out?
Hmm.
Where did this drought come from that destroyed all of my family's farms
Right.
and our life support?
Right.
Why is there this lack of work or no government help? Never was when we think about it.
Yeah.
We're the government.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
position does that put us in?
Yeah.
Do we fight for stuff? Do we organize as a community? I don't care if you're in South Africa, Kazakhstan, Italy, Mexico,
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
This is a big country. We have 160 cultures or more in the county of Los Angeles.
Wow.
I didn't think there was that many countries. This is what we are. This is
Yeah.
part of the world here, and we
Yeah.
need to remember there is a lot of people looking at us with respect and hope
Mhm.
that we're going to help. We're
Yeah.
going to fix things. And now a lot of countries are growing too. They got big militaries now. Besides that, the interior growth and real nations with real poverty are doing their best to increase the effort of growth without, you know, isolating it to any particular areas that will eventually be overwhelming and polluted.
Yeah.
We are we're in a balance. We're going to keep that balance going.
You mentioned we are the government, we the people. In order to form a more perfect union, we
Yeah.
need to work with each other. And
Us and
yes,
I get
yeah,
together with guys that may be politically different than me, but after a while, you know, it's not up to us.
yeah,
And we're going to try to work out and go put some new windows in that store or
yes, yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Help our community
Yeah.
work together.
Or like James Brown, tough guy, my favorite football player from when I was little.
Yeah,
American
yeah,
with big, tough kids in, inner city, whatever.
yeah.
American.
Hmm.
13, 14-year-old big boys.
Yeah. What's the one life lesson that you learned from your years of continued acting from either
One,
a director or another actor, or just you being involved within a character? What's that one life lesson that you would like to share with those out there?
I, I guess it's balance, to know that I am the only really important person in the world.
Right?
But if I don't take care of myself, I will not be able to help anybody else.
Okay.
And I also need to let other people help themselves.
Okay.
And a lot of times taking direction, I guess, is a good sum up.
Okay.
Taking direction, stopping. I don't know. Let me stop. And if I get really excited about stuff, it's usually all about me. my just enjoy. I got some flowers now. I got this new apartment. We had to move because the whole place burned down in Malibu. Maybe it'll get built someday. And yet we've been moving around. And I just for this new place, I went and I got some flowers. 3-potted, beautiful. And I'm taking care of them. And I go out and they're really getting tall. I got to put a stick to keep this one thing from falling down, and the big, beautiful flowers in each of them. And I went out there the other morning and I looked at them, and it was like looking at a bunch of pretty girls in a cheerleading squad. All right, I'm a little nuts. And I started doing a cheer, you know. My girlfriend said, "What's she doing?" I'm leading the cheer with the girls. Wow.
Well,
My little home. Yeah.
the simple things in life can make you the most happy if you allow them to.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for all the frustration. Thank you for all the jealousy. Thank you for all the grief. Thank you for all the anger. Thank you for everything.
Yeah.
You know.
John Savage, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with me. This has just been marvelous, just to dialogue with you, and I appreciate you taking the time. I really do.
We're lucky guys.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
We
Let's
are.
try to spread some of that.
Yes. And
Thank you.
I hear that your significant other who spends time with you is heavily involved in the Salvation Army. Is that correct?
Salvation Army is her thing. I've been
Yeah.
brought involved with that. World Vision International, but it works a lot in our country. I was down in Louisiana after the big storm down there in Mississippi. My ex was down there, the Catholic effort. There's just good things going on and good
Yeah.
people. Again, SAW, Save a Warrior.
Yeah.
It's growing like a few other groups. Mission 22 with this fellow who served for years in military for support groups beyond, after, like sobriety, specifically. And they're inviting people,
Right.
who are suicidal,
Right.
thinking
Right.
to be a part of something that could, with others who have succeeded, and their success rate is good. So support is important.
Yeah.
Money, it does help. A little bit of money here and there
Yeah.
to help is always good. So Mission 22, SAW, Save a Warrior, in addition to our VA services,
Yes.
and volunteers. Don't pay anything. Just maybe put your body out there every once in a while to serve food. At a mission. Sometimes giving money to people that are drinking or using drugs, their life support system has been so set in that way. Just a word to maybe. And I've met people who are still living on the street, but they're sober. They gave up the drugs 22 years ago. They still live on the street,
Right.
but they're conscious of other people.
Yeah.
Excuse me, we don't want to get too close. Yes, no, I don't need a drink. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I've been sober now 22 years.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit good for you. God bless you. We'll see you
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
The human compassion and connecting, those are
yeah,
amazing things that can take us a long way in life. They really can, if we just take the time.
right. And we see that now needed because the protocol or ethics also has to change, where you might be giving someone a disease if you shake their hand.
Right.
You
Right.
might be putting out the germs of your dialogue by hugging and talking right in their face.
Right.
So this acknowledgement with a mask, it's American now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Acknowledging people
Yeah.
from a little distance.
Yeah.
Because we do have this issue, even though it may not look like it in your life, in your community. I talk to some people that are a little further out in the community, and they don't see why at the moment. Oh, we're serving people in restaurants and they're packing the place now. It's fine. you know, well, I'm, a little older, so I'm more concerned about getting
Right.
that sex stuff.
I heard someone say recently that there's this thing called fear of missing out and also comparisonitis, where you compare yourself to what's happening in another community, or you are fearing that you're missing out because they're out doing something. But don't do that. Look at where you are, look at what's happening where you are, and don't judge because they may be judging you. It's an odd time, but again, it's just being aware and trying, again, as we've been talking about, trying to listen to others and listen to where they are at this time.
Exactly. And, it may look like to people that we're actually sitting right across from each other, only 6 inches away, but we're not. That's why we're not wearing a mask.
That's right. It's exactly right. Yeah, John's in LA and I'm in North Carolina.
Oh, I got to get there. I haven't been there in a long time.
Well, next time you come, we talked earlier about we could have dinner here. You're invited, and I will provide the mask. So just want to let you know that I'll provide you the mask. John,
And there's a lot of communities in North Carolina, like in some of the southern states, in Texas, even in the border, that have gone through a lot of growth with others over the years. And there's still a lot of need for that, and I see that effort. And I respect North Carolina for all that it's done in the last 50 years. I mean, overcoming a lot of differences, and it's tough right now. It's very difficult for everybody. God bless you.
Hey, John, thanks for being our guest. Really appreciate it. And the invitation is open. If you come to North Carolina, we will definitely connect, and you got a place to stay and have a meal or two. So just know that.
Blanca's going to help me stay in touch, us to stay in touch with you. Okay.
Yes, I appreciate it. And thank you for joining us here on Meet Me at the Movies. And again, tell us the name of the show that people should be watching you on right now.
SEAL Team. SEAL Team.
Absolutely. John, thanks for joining us. And thank you for spending time listening to us and watching us, whether that's through C19 TV's Meet Me at the Movies or on the podcast, wgwg.org. However you choose to spend time with us, we thank you very much. We know you have other things to do with your time, but to take the time to be with us, we really appreciate it. So until next time, that is a wrap.
Thanks.
John,
I'll appreciate being late to my next appointment because of you. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, John. Have a good one, buddy. And thanks,
God
Blanca,
bless.
as well. Thank you to Blanca.
Thank you, Blanca.